Okay, this is going to be a slightly different video, more of like an update video, but it's definitely something I want to speak about. And that is the facial deformities that my son Joshua has and experiences. It's not going to be a long video, but I definitely want to get this out. Okay. I want to talk about Joshua and some of his disabilities that he experiences. I've spoken about this in the past, but it's not something that I have focused on or has been a main feature of this channel. Let's talk about what this channel is first. This is a channel about myself and my son, originally about my foster journey, which turned into my adoption journey with Joshua. We do all sorts of things on this channel where we're having fun and we're just doing our daily life. You know, it's been through its ups and downs. I used to get a ton of views. I don't get that many views anymore, but that's okay because this is fun for us and we're just continuing through it. But it's been a place where I feel like I've been able to document Joshua's life throughout, and something that he'll be able to look back on and always have to see what life was like for him as a young child. Also, what life was like prior to Joshua and all the things that I went through before ever meeting Joshua and having him. What this channel is not is a focal point on Joshua and his disabilities. As I've been very open about some of the things that he deals with, I've also not shared everything because it's not really the point of this or anyone's business. But that brings me to the problem that I ran into this week. This week I made a GoFundMe page for Joshua and I's new dog, Kai. And the reason is, if you see our last video, we went and we bought a new dog. And when I got home, about 2 days later, the dog started showing symptoms of not eating and very lethargic and diarrhea and throwing up. So initially I thought this was just the change in her food, but it got worse. And so I took her to the vet and they did what's called a parvo test. And if you're unaware of that, parvo is a life-threatening disease that dogs can get, and it's very hard to cure. However, it is curable, and we are praying and hoping for the best for Kai. When I got the estimate from the vet about how much it's going to cost, they quoted me $6,000 to heal her. And that just wasn't something I had. I don't have that to spend on that or even have that. But I knew that there had to be something that could be done. So I created the GoFundMe page and I posted that GoFundMe on a Facebook group here for in Burbank. And it's like a city group about all things Burbank. Well, someone thought it was a good idea to take that post and post it in another group. There's a Facebook group, and I am going to call you out. It's called Magnolia Park Mamas. And this Facebook group, I've always heard, I'm not in it, but it's so toxic and hateful that I've heard from other people in the city of Burbank about this Facebook group and how toxic and hateful the women are that are in it. And first off, something like that group should be taken down. But this woman claims that she's known me for 20 years. And darling, if you've known me for 20 years, I wish you would have the balls to come up to me and say something to me about it. But obviously you don't. She slandered my name and saying I'm this and I'm that and I'm taking advantage of people and all of these stupid things that just are not true. And she says I've done it for 20 years, which is just not true. Then she goes on to talking about, she mentioned some things about the GoFundMe for the dog, and she was like worried about this dog and should I have had the dog and things like that. And first off, to anyone who has commented on that post and thinks like, oh, you shouldn't have a dog if you can't afford the dog. First off, I can afford the dog. It's just that dogs come into situations sometimes where they need vets And those vet bills in America are extremely costly. Just because someone has a dog and they can afford a dog doesn't mean they're going to be able to afford $6,000 to $10,000 vet bills along the life of that dog's journey. That doesn't mean someone shouldn't have a bill. That would be like saying someone should not have a child because that child could get hurt in a car accident and have $100,000 in medical bills, but they can't afford that. Should they not have had a child? Use your brain. Well, that post was posted in that group, Magnolia Park Mamas, and she said those things, and then she went on to talk about my son. She says that I shouldn't have, she questions why I have Joshua, and we have a YouTube channel, and that I'm using him for YouTube and all of these things. First off, it's like they say, all publicity is good publicity. So if you're talking about me, thanks for talking about me. But beyond that, there's nothing wrong with having a YouTube channel about you and your family and their life together. I think people are, if this woman truly knows me from 20 years ago, then you must have been in the acting scene, because 20 years ago, that's what my whole life was revolving around. And sweetheart, I just gotta say, you're probably bitter because you have no sort of platform and you're taking it to Facebook groups to complain about me. But I divert from that. So, going on, she decided that it was a good idea to talk about my son beyond the fact that we have a YouTube channel. And she mentioned, I watch his videos and I look in that poor boy's eyes and he looks like he's just hurting. And this is what pissed me off. Joshua has facial, let me back up for a second. And then the comments on this group, the comments on this post were saying, oh, well, you should call CPS and you should report him and things like that. First off, like, don't be bothering CPS for foolish things like someone having a YouTube channel about their family. Like, CPS is there to protect children that need protection, not so lame moms can spend their time doing whatever they're not doing and make false claims about someone and their family. Like, that's not what that's not what CPS is there for. And it's not what Facebook should be there for. But she went on to say that when she looks in his eyes, that he looks like he's hurting. I want you to know something. Stay away from my child. Stay away from my child. Stay away from every other child. You are not a good mother. If you're a mother, you are not a good mother if you are going to slander and talk ill about someone else's child. You are a poor excuse for a mother if you are going to talk about another person's child in such a way. I have no problem saying that, and I firmly believe it. And that goes for any fathers that do the same exact thing. If you do these things, you are a poor, sad excuse for a parent. Children are off limits. It's that simple. They are off limits. Now, Joshua has what is called FASD, fetal alcohol syndrome disorder. If you don't know what this is, I've spoken about this. It is a disorder when parents or mothers drink alcohol during pregnancy. It can cause FASD, and that will cause certain disabilities or delays in development and psychological delays, mental delays. It also causes facial deformities, meaning there are a range of, they measure these deformities in a certain way. So the upper part of the lip is flatter. The eyes tend to go inward. And there are a few other things about the size of a child's head that this can cause as well. Well, there have been times in public, someone would say to me, oh, what's wrong with him? He looks XYZ. Or someone would say to me, oh, my child has this disability. I'm not even going to say what it is. Yeah, and I know what that's like. Assuming that they know Joshua has that same disability as their child, which he does not, because they said what theirs was, and they assumed that Joshua has the same, and he doesn't. Stop talking about people's children. So when she says, I look in his eyes and I see the hurt and the pain, what you're seeing is a child with a facial deformity What you're seeing is a child who's not in pain. He's just made that way. He's beautiful in the way God made him. If you actually paid attention, you'd see a kid that laughs, that loves, that is happy 95% of the time. You would know that I walk into places, when I walk him into his daycare, all the kids, I am not exaggerating, this stuff blows my mind. All the kids run up to him, Joshua! They run up to him because they love playing with him. He's such a happy kid. I went somewhere with him, I don't need to say where. I went somewhere with him and I was filling out some paperwork, right? And the woman at the window I was standing at to fill out this paperwork, she says, I just want you to know there is something special about him. I don't know what it is, but there's something special about him. We've never met this woman before. If you paid attention, if you actually stopped making stories up in your head, you would know that he is a wonderfully, wonderfully loved child, and he is extremely happy. Extremely happy. And he's in a home with someone who took him in. I did not have to answer the call when DCFS called me and told me that there's this child who was abandoned by his mother and this child who was possibly going to have to be on a feeding tube and they needed someone to adopt him. I didn't have to say yes to that. And there are millions of people who say no to that. Some of those are foster parents who don't want to deal with it, and some of them are people like you who don't answer the call to adoption and foster care. So before you start making claims and you start making problems for other people and you start talking about someone else's child, I want you to look at yourself and see what you're doing. And if you're a parent, I want you to look at yourself and see what you're teaching your child. So you may have not thought that that would have gotten back to me. You may have thought that that was going to sit in that group. It didn't sit in that group. Because there are people who love and care about me and that are in that group who screenshot it and sent it to someone else who knows me, who knows that that person is my friend, and it got sent to me. And then I called you out. I called you out in another group where you saw my original post. And I actually set the record straight. And I hope you saw that. And I hope you're watching, and I hope you see this video. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you are a sorry excuse for a parent because of what you just did. And I hope you recognize it and you can get your life in order. And I'm telling you right now, if you say you knew me from 20 years ago, I pray you hit me up and let's have a conversation because I need to shut that down. You are disgusting for what you did. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it doesn't piss me off because it does piss me off. My child and my life is off limits to you. End of story.
So I just watched that video back that I recorded this morning, and yeah, I was really pissed, and I still am pissed about it. But I want to clear up something. Like, when you're watching that video, just understand how upset I was about the situation. Um, I believe everything that I said, but you see, I think I didn't need to say it as aggressively as I did, but I still believe it, and I'm gonna stand by it. Like, parents, leave other parents' kids alone. It's just that simple. It's that simple. I stand by my words. I didn't need to be that aggressive about it. That's it.